All right, hello and welcome. This is Jason Linett. We're here in Alexandria, Virginia, and doing a video chat long distance. Well, not too far away down to North Carolina. We're here with Cheryl and Larry Elman. How are you two?
We're great.
Fine, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you two, too. Oh, great, great. I see there's a new map on the wall behind you. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Dave and Julie Elman, our kids, got that for us for Christmas this year. And it has a nice brass plaque on it that says Dave Elman Hypnosis Institute. And it's got pins where you can put in where we have taught. So we're really sticking to where we've been teaching or presenting on hypnosis and not our personal travels. And we did notice there's two continents we need to get some pins into. So that'll be part of our goal in the next couple of years.
And you just had a bit of a longer trip through Europe. What locations did you stop and teach at?
Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovenia, the
England.
Netherlands, Switzerland, and there were some stops in between. For example, England, Turkey,
Italy.
Italy, Croatia.
It was quite
It was
the trip.
it was an interesting trip.
I bet, and all gearing up for the most exotic location, Alexandria, Virginia, on January 25th and 26th, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, great. Larry, would you mind giving just sort of a brief introduction of yourself and some of your history involving yourself along with your dad's techniques?
Okay. Dad began teaching hypnosis in 1949. He had known it since he was in elementary or junior high. I took his course beginning at age 11 and took it several times before I left for college, and helped out in the family business, of course. I went to MIT, came out an aeronautical engineer, went into the Air Force, did a few hypnosis shows in the Air Force and found out very rapidly that in the Air Force is career damaging. So from then through the times that I was employed in the defense industry, I tended to be more an observer than a participant as far as hypnosis goes. In 2008, I returned to the field, found that I'd had such good training that training wasn't the problem, just being rusty was. Followed my wife around while she got certified, and then we began teaching my father's methods, which, as I say, I had not forgotten in the least. And of course, I had Dad's book and all of Dad's recordings. And as time went on, I began adding my own books and my own recordings to the collection. And we've been teaching both domestically and internationally.
But you know what's really interesting, Larry, and that is how Dad actually said he'd even teach you to begin with. So can you tell that story?
Sure. I asked him to teach me, and he walked me over to the bookcase in which he had all the hypnosis books, and he pulled down a thick one, if I remember correctly. It had a gray binding, and don't ask me which one it was, and said, "Read this cover to cover and give me a written report at the end of it." And of course, you say that to an 11-year-old, the reply is going to be, "Oh, Dad!" And but I complied, came back with that, and he said, "That's great." He took down another book. He says, "You're lucky. In this one, you only have to read chapters 2, 3, and 5. And he went through, I believe it was 5 books like this. And finally, about the 4th or 5th one, I asked him, "Why?" And he said, "Well, you'll be the only person in the room who's not graduated both college and either medical school or something equivalent. And I don't want you being the snot-nosed kid. I want you having enough knowledge before you walk in there so you know when to shut up, and so you know something of the subject we're covering." So it was under those conditions that I began taking Dad's course.
And as we jump forward to now, this class is now morphed into a sort of a collection of history as well as the demonstrations, as well as breakout hands-on practice involving these techniques. Tell us more about that, please.
Well, we've taught a number of different variations on covering my father's material. And what we found is particularly good for most hypnotists is giving them enough historical background so they can put things in perspective, teaching them my father's primary induction. It was not the only induction he taught, but it's the one that is most commonly referred to today, and having them practice it. One of the advantages of that particular induction is that it teaches the hypnotist who's new to Elmanian hypnosis a great deal about how people react, so that they can then generalize, modify, and go on to other procedures with a good background and a good basis. So we do that, then we cover a number of other separate topics beyond that to give them more than just an induction. As I say, whenever I do a demonstration, never waste a good induction. Do something with it.
Well, great, great. And along with the class, the other point to share is that the main focus, and this is something that even those hypnotists out there that have been working for quite some time and working professionally and getting results, a real refining of the process approach as opposed to a more structured format, a more you have to do it this same way every single time. That was something that really gaining from the book, especially with the history too. It's interesting to go back and read hypnotherapy. He's even referencing doctors being told, even in the 1950s or so, you've got this many minutes in the room with the patient, make it count. So the origins of the brief yet very effective induction really just strengthening the work. What's interesting too is how you've really applied the process approach to every step of the process, to use the same word again. Share some thoughts on that, please.
Well, what I've seen looking at other hypnotists is too many of us in the profession tend to get stuck on one particular approach, whether it be an induction or a procedure. I'm referring to both, where you say the same words over and over to every client. Every client is different. So what you should do instead is analyze what it is you're trying to do. And then as you are working with the client, change your wording to that which matches the client's reactions and generates the best response. This is what I call client-centered hypnosis. And when you apply this to a procedure in advance, when you think about it in advance, I call it using a process approach. Instead of memorizing a script, you're looking at the process you're about to go into. You're saying, what do I do with each step of it? What is my goal? For this group of suggestions, what do I really want out of this? So if I have to change my wording, I still have the goal in mind, and I can change it consistently.
Well, great. Thank you both for joining us today. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I have a very happy new year, and we are looking forward very, very happily to coming up later this month and having a wonderful weekend teaching hypnosis.
Well, great.
And we always love being at your center, and you have such great people up there that attend.
Absolutely.
They make it easy. Well, great. The class is coming up. It's a Saturday, Sunday, January 25th and 26th. Check this link that's going to be right beneath my fingers as soon as I make this video look all pretty. It's going to have more details about the upcoming event. Oh, and there's also going to be a special bonus event the night before. Cheryl, real quick, the story of the command performance, the encore of the group induction. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, when we were in Poland this year, was it in Poland?
I believe it was in Poland. I believe it was in Warsaw.
Okay. They enjoyed, I had done a group induction, and they asked immediately if we could redo it again, because everybody got so involved in the hypnosis itself, and it was so relaxing. And yet then stimulating for them to come up and be able to learn more, that I was really excited that they then asked for an encore again to do it right after the first one. So that was I have to say, that was the first time I was asked for an encore performance for the Elman group hypnosis. I think I have worked with it for several years now, and I've really tried to bring in all the steps and how would that work in a group situation. So I think I've gotten a little unique in some of the things that I do in it. and people seem to really like it.
Yeah, she definitely has some places where she follows the process, follows what the induction is supposed to be, but modifies it for the fact that she's working in front of a group. And one of the reasons she's able to do this so effectively is she's quite active in some civic organizations, and they like an after-dinner speaker. And when you do that, a quick demonstration of a few hypnotic effects is very good for educating the public and for generating interest in the area. So she's pretty much perfected that. She's doggone good at it. There's one other thing to note concerning this encore, and that's something many of us in the profession forget to do. When you're going to speak to a group or teach a class, one of the things you can do prior to getting very far into your delivery is to remind people that it is natural, a natural phenomenon, that a little tape recorder goes off in their heads if they're very interested in or have paid for a course. They will actually self-record. And if you remind them of this, they get a pretty accurate rendition. And that improves the learning because they can recall it better.
Well, great, great. So once again, the class is coming up Saturday, Sunday, January 25th, 26th. If you're not getting requests for encores, then you should also join us on Friday, January 24th in the evening. Again, all that information is going to be right here on the screen. And Cheryl and Larry, thank you for joining me.
Thank you
so much.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.